Greetings, everyone. I'm Sharif, and with my colleague Samuel Yoga, and we shall be taking you through our concept, which is about constructive self-supervised knowledge distillation for real-time local key identification with phonation and feature awareness. So the background about this is driven from the experience that we have, especially in live and recording settings, that need to accurately um, that need to quickly and accurately identify vocals. And vocal identification has been found out to be a thing, especially in performance for music production and live performances, and also with some models, with some AI models. So the right methods, uh, such as hearing from the ear, listening from the ear, or a web-based system, these do require a lot of extensive training, and they are often slow and unreliable, which creates bottlenecks during musical collaboration, while hindering spontaneity and efficiency. So our research will focus mainly on collaboration between instrumentalists and producers, with also the musicians who often struggle to adopt to the single vocal key, especially in my performance. So because of this, it leads to collaboration difficulties, increased time and cost in studio, and also the reduced artistic expression or artistic creativity. So the major difficulties are mainly in collaboration, the cost, and also uh, the limited or reduced artistic creativity. So the objective of our research about our research paper is mainly to develop an accurate and robust key identification system, achieve real-time performance for live applications, minimize reliance on large data sets, and also ensure generalization across diverse vocal styles genres. Our proposed solution will involve approaches for constructive self-supervised learning, um, where this it is a kind of learning feature representation from unlabeled data. So the purpose of this is to identify similarities and differences between instances and use these differences to classify instances. And knowledge distillation, if you are transfer knowledge from logical models from constructive learning to a smaller model, to a smaller student model, in where we shall be applying knowledge distillation. Phonation-Aware Feature Extraction. This will help us to distinguish between intentional vocal modulation from unintended variations. So we propose a machine learning model that uses constructive self-supervised learning, knowledge distillation, and phonation-aware feature extraction. So for constructive supervised learning, we look at training a large corpus of unlabeled vocal audio, where we shall be applying pitch shifting, time stretching, harmonic perturbation, noise addition to create multiple views of the same audio. Then after, the model will learn to recognize the augmented variants, and this approach will help us learn without relying on manual labels. So the key benefits to this, it will eliminate dependence on large label datasets, also improve robustness, and also we shall be able to get the teacher model that we shall be able to transfer our knowledge distillation. Then for knowledge distillation, here we are transferring knowledge from the teacher model, which we have got from the constructive learning. Then we shall use this knowledge to train our student model using a combination of hard labels, then soft targets. After we shall optimize for real-time key performance. This will allow the student model to learn from teachers reach a representation while being optimized and for real-time performance. So in this one, we have the impact on to this is high accuracy, we reduce computational cost, and enables real-time performance on low latency system. Then for foundation awareness, here we extract spectral and harmonic features. Then we shall employ the foundation mode detection module. This will help us to classify the singer's vocal to technique for we shall have a model policy of breathing, then integrate foundation information into key identification models as additional inputs. And the key impact onto this that it will improve key tracking accuracy um, between intended vocal modulation and unintended pitch variation by improving key tracking. Allow me to hand over to my colleague who will take us into the next part of the slide. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. My name is Samuel Derrick, and I'll be taking you through this next step of our presentation, that is the exploratory data analysis of our annotated vocal data set. So to begin with, we had to perform an in-depth EDA on our data set, and the name of the data set was an annotated vocal set. And the purpose of this was to enhance the vocal set with detailed annotations for research in voice speech detection and note extraction. The original data set contained 560 files with 200 professional singers and different 17 vocal techniques. And the annotations which were added were the F note, which is the fundamental frequency contour, the note onset and offset, transitional mid-high pitch, lyrics, and more. And the total files were 2688,000 after removing the 24.5% files due to errors. So, our dataset structure, this is our dataset structure. The dataset contained two major folders, that the raw directories and the extended directories. As you can see here, it had row 1, row 2, 3, and 4, and the extended 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the raw directories, they contained the CSV, which had the JPEG files for each audio file, and the CSV columns contain the time, the F note, which is the fundamental frequency, amplitude, onset, offset, and the transitions. Then the extended directories, they contain these same files from the raw directories, but with additional annotations. And the extended files, for instance, extended one, they had a directory with file header and one without file header. And the columns which were added were the start time, end time, duration, and estimated media code, ground truth note duration, and many more. So our process overview. So the EDA process was broken into two major categories. That is our CSV files analysis and the audio files analysis. And in the CSV files analysis, we first had to identify the column names and the data types. We corrected to determine duplicate analysis, the correlation and the heat maps. We came up with distribution plots and categorical analysis, and then several scatter matrices for the different files. And then in the audio file analysis, we came up with spectrograms and chromograms for each audio file. And then we compared each given audio file with the annotations from the CSV files, and to obtain a cleaned audio CSV analysis. And then we also made some implementation by doing a key prediction using the pitch plots and the chromograms from the audio files. So to begin with, the CSV files analysis, this is how it went with from steps 1 to 6. So in step 1, where we identify the data types, the data type classification, we have two visuals. Here we have from the right, we have a table which shows the column name and the data type. There are 37 columns, and we have the file names each. We managed to identify its data type. We ran some Python codes, and then we managed to come up with this table which highlighted the column and its data type. So there were strings, floats, integers, mainly three data types. And then we also visualized the whole data set, a higher level visualization where we categorized the different columns into musical, MIDI, intervals, frequency, timing, and metadata. Uh, Here in the musical, we had the ground truth, the lyrics, different. We managed to categorize, for instance, the metadata where we have the file name, gender, singer name, technique, music type, and the volume. Then the timing. This consider. Sorry for the inconvenience. As I was still saying. So after getting the data types and everything and classifying the data and analyzing it into the different categories, we we went to the next step, and that is, so that was step 1. Then the next step in this CSV analysis was to determine that was a duplicate analysis, where we had to remove duplicate rows and columns from the CSV files and calculate the percentage to be able to know how much data was duplicated so that we may not encounter errors. And then we came up with a reduction matrix. We computed to quantify the reduction data size after the duplicate removal. It is visually clear here that the original dataset and after cleaning dataset are almost the same in the dataset comparison. And then when we come to the proportion of the duplicate rows, the unique rows were 99.99 and the duplicate rows were 0.005 something, which means a very few part of the data was repeated. And then the data retention is almost 100%. Then the data cleaning process, the duplicates from comparing the original and the final, it was a very good outcome. So our data was not that badly off. And then we went for the correlation and heat maps, where we then the correlation heat maps, we came up with correlation heat maps, which is which was mainly intended to show the correlation between these numerical variables, and it is colored heat map with blue with various colors. But first, we are mainly concentrated on this darker blue, and then the darker red, whereby this darker red indicates the positive coloration. And for instance, any time and start time, we have a very positive correlation, which means they kind of it's they can their coordination is crucial. And then we have the darker blue, which indicates negative correlation. And this heat map, it includes all the correlation values in each cell. So it's a bit not clear. It has been compressed to fit the screen, but every value was considered in detail to come up with this heat map. And then next, we went to the distribution plots. So I plotted a histogram, various histograms to analyze the distribution of various numerical values. One of the histograms was the distribution of the average fundamental frequency. So as you can see, it is a right skewed graph, whereby most of the values lie between 0 and 400 Hz. So this shows that almost very many all of these our data set has a lot of values so for the fundamental frequency, which are very, very low values. So that was not a disadvantage because this kind of helps us guide us more to our goal of being able to determine the focal key for a given scene. And then we went for the categorical analysis, whereby we wanted to know how much different data is distributed across the whole data set. For instance, the music types, we have the scales, arpeggios, long tones, and musical. So we realized that the scale data music types has a very high count in the whole data set compared to other musical types. This could be an advantage and a disadvantage because since only one musical type dominates the whole data set, this could kind of give us a poor feedback. But it also came in handy that we realized that most of our day-to-day music and everything is mainly in a scaled musical type, so it was also an advantage. And then we came up with a scatter matrix, which was created to explore the relationship again also between these various numerical data types. Uh, so we compared we got the first five, and we continued since they're around 37. So we managed to add on in the first five. But as you can see, uh, different numerical values correlate differently. For instance, N time and BPM, they have a very, very little correlation relationship with BPM. But when you compare total duration and sequence, you realize they have a very high correlation. Yeah, thank you. Next is the audio files analysis, whereby we did it in three phases. We came up with spectrograms and chromograms for each audio file. Then we cleaned the audio file with its respective CSV, and then we did some simple implementation of predicting the key. For first of all, the spectrograms were generated for each audio file, and then we also generated chromograms for each picture information. For instance, this one was F1 arpeggio for female. F1 was for female. We came up with a spectrogram. As you can see, spectrogram it's more concerned with the frequency, and it converts this frequency into decibels, which is the most recognized notation for music. And then we also we mapped it on a chromogram, which is the speech class and time of that given audio file. As you can see in our top in our bottom right picture, it shows the chromogram, and the top right it is about the spectrogram. So this chromogram helps us to analyze and determine the key of that audio file and maybe the singer. And then we use the spectrogram mainly when we are going for phonation detection, because it is by these waves that we determine whether someone is maybe whispering or someone is under tension, something like that. And then next we clean the audio with its respective CSV file, and we came up with a spectrogram, sorry, and a pitch tracking annotation. So this pitch tracking annotation helped us in the next step to be able to determine the median pitch and to be able to map it with the chromogram to determine to predict the key. Yes, we've seen a spectrogram, but if you try to compare this spectrogram with the first spectrogram, this one is a bit normalized compared to the other one, whereby we have not kind of added additional information to our audio assessor to come up with a spectrogram. Then next thing was the key prediction step, whereby this time we used the pitch plots to determine the median pitch. So since each pitch has its own frequency, so the median pitch for this case is lies between 177.71 hours. So we came up with a pitch, and then we drew its chromogram, which helped us to determine that the key was it's kind of a long process to explain, but as you can see, these longer bars, they indicate the most frequently uh, appearing nodes, which help us to determine finally that it's to estimate the key. And then we also came up with a spectrogram of this same data that help us analyze its phonation and other features of the audio file. The insights and findings, we identified and removed the duplicates and analyzed distribution and identified outliers. For instance, in our histogram, we are able to see that usually the files which could be on 600 are usually outlying. Then, mm, so we successfully matched audio files with their annotations, predicted the musical keys, and generally got a detailed visualization of our pitch frequency analysis. The challenges are handling datasets, there were very many, and then matching them to the corresponding annotations, and then predicting the musical keys accurately. So our solutions, we go for automated data cleaning and analysis using Python libraries like PyTorch and Librosa. And we use the advanced visualization techniques for accurate key prediction to come up with those homograms and spectrograms. So in conclusion, this EDA was conducted on the annotated vocal dataset, which is available online. And then our future work is to explore machine learning models for singing voice analysis and extend the dataset with additional annotations and features. Our expected outcomes are to improve accuracy, real-time adaptability, scalability, reduced dependency on labeled datasets, efficient deployment in maybe real-time applications such as mobile applications and desktop, and then improved collaboration between vocalists and instrumentalists. Yes, thank you very much. That will be all.